edition of Frequency Matters, the industry update from Microwave Journal. I'm David Vai.
And I'm Pat Hindle. And last week we covered our February issue with the cover feature on millimeter wave packaging up to 40 gigahertz and a couple other interesting items that were in that issue. We had a perspective piece by Richardson, RFPD, on GaN technology.
Okay.
And we had the MVP, which is a synthesizer by Phase Matrix, which is a NI company, and it's very compact, high-performance synthesizer.
Again, the MVP is the most valuable
product
of the month, so that was the highlight of the month for product releases. There were a couple other technical articles that caught my eye, the through silicon vias and 3D inductors for RF applications. So I guess what they're trying to do there is address smartphones and the multi-band coverage that they need and impedance tuning. I guess this work was sponsored by a 15-member European consortium. They were able to get Q factors above 30 from half a gigahertz up to 4 gigahertz frequency range in an area that's 1 square millimeter for a few nanohenries. So some interesting developments there on the silicon processing side to get some small inductors. And then there was another article, the impact of electrical thermal interactions for the PCB at the PCB by John Coonrad of Rogers. And John's a big writer for us. He does a lot of blogs, doesn't he?
Yes, he blogs every other week almost and has a lot of good practical advice on materials.
I think I'm glad you said that practical, because the thing is, as electrical engineers, we think about, everything is perfect, but certainly thermal interactions, mechanical interactions, contortion and compression will have an impact on the PCB and therefore the electrical performance as well. So John is very good about writing about those topics. The thermal electrical interactions is a topic that the EDA and the computer-aided engineering software guys are tackling with some multi-physics software, which will be one of the topics at EDICon in Beijing.
Online, we have a couple webinars that we just recorded that can be viewed on demand. TriQuint gives an overview of different GaN products that they have coming new out of their portfolio. And then there was a second webinar given by Isola, which is a materials expert, and they're similar to Rogers, but they do specialize also in high-speed materials, so they give a little overview on high-speed design.
Okay, that's great. Speaking of TriQuint, makes me think of Mobile World Congress, because I know that'll be a big show for the RFIC guys. We got a couple of press releases from them. RFMD is touting the broadest portfolio of high-performance RF solutions targeting 4G. And they've got a laundry list of capabilities that they're touting, average power tracking, envelope tracking, for multi-mode, multi-band, impedance tuning. Certainly the envelope tracking is an issue you're covering and keeping a close eye on.
Right. Yeah, so envelope tracking, I'm picking this year to be like the hot topic of the year. There's a lot of people working in that area. It's become very important in handsets and base stations, being applied to both GaN and CMOS to really improve the efficiency greatly of the power amplifiers.
Yeah, well, good point. And I think that what RFMD is leveraging is their deep engineering resources, which makes a lot of sense with regards to these phones are so complex. Every engineering solution requires that deep resource. So we'll keep an eye on what kind of products fall out of that. Last thing I've got on Mobile World Congress, Mark Zuckerberg will be the keynote speaker, and this week it was very interesting with Facebook paying $19 billion for WhatsApp app, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually pretty interesting because it's free texting. It's almost a play for the telecom business.
Right,
there.
And it's a lot of users for them, so I think they're also paying for the user base.
Yeah, so it's interesting that they're getting into that space. Another interesting news item that people seem to like was the Lenovo acquiring Motorola Mobility from Google. Apparently they'll take over the smartphone side of the business. Google will keep the patents.
Of course.
Yes, okay. Any other news catch your eye?
Yeah, definitely a big news item for me was MACOM's acquisition of Nitronics. As you know, maybe a month ago, MACOM announced the acquisition of Mindspeed. So that got them more into the optical market. Now they have Nitronics that strengthens their GaN portfolio. So they're really doing a lot on the acquisition. I think they're picking really good markets where there's a lot of growth. I think that's going to help them for the future.
That's interesting. Speaking of GaN, Raytheon was celebrating its 15 years of being involved in GaN. And we'll have a lot of GaN talk at EDICon, as I mentioned. And that kind of brings me to thinking about the white papers that are online, because Richardson is one of the sponsors of a white paper there. And the distributors in general have really stepped up their game in terms of supporting their principals out in the
Right.
field, and with the support of content, both the white papers, as I mentioned, which are available on microwavejournal.com, and the fact that they're sponsoring this GAN panel at EDICon, which you'll be the moderator,
Right.
and they organized the panelists and kind of decided the topics. Although
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll have a big part in.
Well, a little bit. Yeah, the distributors are also much more application support in the field, so they're really complementing their primes.
So this is the final week of the early bird special for saving 50% on the registration costs. To the conference part of the event, the exhibition, of course, is free. But good time to go on to the website and check that out. So I guess that's it. I think that's a wrap. Join us next episode where we'll have a special executive interview and more industry news. So this is David Vai.
And this is Pat Hindle. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Mini Circuits. You can find out more about their products at minicircuits.com. Join us next time for Frequency Matters.